Hello, it's Lee. Namaste and greetings. For this video I wish to go over again or add some things to promoting the defense and also the explanation towards shadow people. When I say this, I'm not talking about, of course, random sightings of spirit entities, aka ghosts, who are not necessarily bad, but I am talking about, of course, in this video, pointedly malicious ones. And it seems that this sort of phenomena is fairly common, and even if not very much so, yet it is still happening to a lot of people. And I will certainly suggest that it is happening for a reason. And if you are someone who is undergoing attacks of some kind, then you can consider yourself cursed in one way, but also very blessed in another way. Because being able to overcome this, or to have the ability in which to defend yourself and to understand, to grow as, in essence, as a soul, as a spirit warrior, to put it that way, to be a guardian unto yourself, to help others, is a very, very nice achievement. Now, I had the somewhat popular video on shadow people, and then I made a second one, again going over demonic attacks, and here I wish to make yet another one and give some further advice and share a little bit extra light on my experiences, and hopefully that will perhaps help a few people, if not even more than just a few. I'll be very honored. Now, this phenomenon and related phenomena is surprisingly a little more common than the average person might tend to think. And if this is something happening to you, either it's new for you or not so new, or you're even a veteran and able to hopefully overcome it completely, I can swear to you and tell the complete truth, as I always tend to do, and say that this can happen to people, and it can certainly absolutely be overcome. When and where it is not overcome, or not yet overcome, is when and where only inside the individual there is still a degree of fear that is still giving allowance of attracting negative entities, but I suppose some levels of ignorance that do not necessarily give people a certain level of defense and real composure and a real self-empowered level of being able to, well, basically overcome and defeat with light. We are talking about love and light as the highest vibration, as the highest frequency in the great isness. We may call this the greatest aspect or greatest gift from God or Source. Nevertheless, when someone is in harmony and in balance, unable to deal with a situation and cope with something as much and as best as possible with true inner composure, and not even just being aligned with or having an allegiance to love and light, but being your very power, your animation thereof and thereby. When we can get to this level as much as possible, we are very, very safe, and this was the very point of being here in the first place. This Earth School is just that, a school and a hospital and a jail, or call it correctional facility. Before the body there is soul and spirit. This is first and primary, the immortal soul entity that you and I are of. Whether some people even doubt that or not, it doesn't change the case that it is the fact. And for some people, they do not really understand this until their death, and when they do inevitably leave their body and then see that that is very much the case. So this isn't an argument against atheists and those who call themselves scientists of the more physical variety. This is just for people that have been bothered, are being bothered, and perhaps will be bothered. Now I wish to say this again. Those who have no experience or extremely little are not authorities on this subject. Remember and know that deeply within yourself. If I'm going to dare call myself any such authority on this subject, it would only be due to to my experience and the extensive level in which that experience brought me to and towards. I don't believe anyone is necessarily an expert, because what does that mean? We can use that term loosely. But I will proudly say that I am someone who has dealt with this for a long time, and am sitting very comfortably in my victory over these entities. And in essence, it is about overcoming the fear vibration, the competitive nature, the hate, the malice, the jealousy that is available and potentially there within all of us. And we must remember this. A demon or a shadow entity, a negative thinking, a conscious and feeling entity on a negative vibration, is aligning with pride and fear. This makes them have anger and hate, all sorts of prejudice, jealousy. We see these people inside of a body. Let's remember that they exist first and foremost outside of a body. Now, knowing this, if we can think of the schoolyard bully, or bullies in higher levels, even think of certain world leaders who certainly don't seem very kind and generous towards humanity at large. Okay? Different echelons and levels of bullies. Well, in a body or out of a body, and the spirit world, just to use a simple term for simplicity's sake, there exists negative entities and energies that are very ravenous, very jealous, very proud. And they're not limited to having to walk and open and close doors, of course, right? So they can roam around nighttime or day. This is not limited whatsoever to sleep. The whole thing, sleep paralysis, needs to be understood very well. People can call it a psychological condition, but those who call it such have not had the experience in the depth of which some of us have had. If and when, and I do not wish it upon anyone, you would see a shadow entity or a demon with your waking eyes in broad daylight, as I have, as others have, you will not doubt. You will not think hallucination and conjure up these little bywords and convenient terminologies that are used by various persons who have not had, or who wish to reduce this phenomena and relate it to something basic and purely chemical. That is absolutely ridiculous to assume that it is just that. This is a misidentity. Now, as I was saying, for those who have not had experience, they are not, perhaps to call it this way, maybe they're not the best authorities, they're not as accountable, they are not as authentic. I've had the hardcore Christian or the hardcore Muslim, and I'm not mocking anybody, try and argue with me over these subjects. I've had the hardcore atheists, the hardcore scientists to argue with me on these subjects. I've had a person contact me who was a Buddhist monk in Tibet, who was trying to explain this phenomenon to me, and I simply said, well, as he had said of himself, he himself had not experienced it, but he was treating people who had. But I just simply said to him, well then, if you had not had it happen to you, then do you really know about it? Not to mock anyone and not to compete, but the point is, one person or many, or those people who had the experience know what they're talking about a little bit more than the one that didn't. That is a simple logical understanding and reason and common sense. Saying that then, my experiences started happening to me. Now, I've had nightmares when I was a kid, as anyone has, and I believe that even some of those nightmares are not just my own conjured fears, but I believe even as a child I was attacked by the demonic. Now, that was overcome, and as kids are quick to do, put it aside. We ask our parents, oh, what are monsters and ghosts? They say, oh, they're not real, so we cancel them out, and we're not bothered any longer. But even those nightmares as children, they have their purpose. Nonetheless, as far as consciously being aware of me being attacked with a fear attack, as I call it, people call it the old hag syndrome or demonic. Mostly it is the imposed tremendous amount of fear that goes right to the core of the soul and the heart. Sometimes it can be accompanied with nightmares and dreams. You feel this tremendous fear and then a bad dream. But when you wake up, the fear is still there. There is you are able to pointedly and accurately sense, even see sometimes, that there are dark entities in the room, one or more, and they are still causing the fear. And you know that it is quite beyond mere speculation and what some others who haven't seen it may say. When this started happening to me, I was absolutely terrified. I basically had it happen in 21 or 22 is when it started, I believe, and it was very, very shaking, of course. Your whole perspective, your whole paradigm is saying, what's this? And immediately I figured, because I was already a spiritual person at that time, I had deduced indeed that it was of the demonic. And the more we look into other religions and philosophies and spiritualities, including many things, not just one book, many things, we tie it all together and we see that the same thing is happening everywhere. Now, not just recently, but from the past up until now, and in the future as well. But it is not to be afraid of these beings, rather it is the fear of fear itself and the overcoming of it. When it started happening to me, I was completely terrified. I was taken off my guard. I was horrified. And my first attack that happened to me, I realized that it was given to me because I had never had it before like this. I've had nightmares as a child, but never that supreme, massive waves of fear, and me having a conversation somehow in between the area of asleep and awake and fighting desperately to wake up, and the being or beings desperately trying to keep me afraid, imprisoned, and not able to wake up. This is a paralysis by fear. And somehow after a great struggle I woke up. Whoever was there, I sensed perhaps 2 or so beings, maybe 3, and they left, and I did not see them at that time. And I went to the shower, and I lied down in the shower. I didn't stand up. I had the water go on me, and I just lay down for 20 minutes, and all sorts of things. And they also prior to that had given me before I was trying to wake up, had given me a nightmare of something. Now, the fact is, had it been one random occurrence, I could have passed it off as something, but the thing is, many people are experiencing this on an ongoing basis, not just for weeks, months, but sometimes years. I had it happen to me for a span of on and off, in a ferocious sense, for five or so years. And even very recently, from the time of this recording, even in this very year of the time of this recording, in 2013, I've had some attacks return to me after a long time. I was able to fend them off very easily, because by this point, it is easy for me to know what to do, and it is easy for me to actually yawn at them. Because we must keep in mind, the beings that are trying to do this to souls who are in bodies are extremely jealous, extremely childish, and very, very immature. It's not the mark of an enlightened being that does this, not the mark of a brave, honorable soul that does this. This is a fear-mongering, cowardly being. We are actually also, in our own highest self, able to pity them and say, what a shameful position that you're in. But we must be careful too, because they may also like to take advantage of our empathy or sympathy. So we don't want to give too much. They are energy, I don't want to say leeches necessarily, but they are very jealous and very insecure entities. And they get off when someone fears them, because when they are feared, they are looked up to, they are worshipped. Please leave me alone, I'll do anything. Those who are satanic and in the bad sense of the term, and those who look to the dark side, those who are secret cults, yes, even big ones that are big names out in the world right now, secret groups and societies, they worship and look up to many of these entities. This is because they are so extremely insecure and afraid inside. They don't have any power to overcome their own fear. When there is something that appears to be to them superior, they will bow down due to their own terror. Very, very shameful position to be in, human or other, to be of that station, of that conscious alignment with fear and hate and pride and jealousy. Now, people say, how does this happen? Why does it happen? Because it has happened to people who kind of call themselves atheists, and it has happened to people who are very spiritual and shamanic, very religious, all variety of persons. And I'm very glad that it has happened to the atheists and the scientists, because it is to show and give a witness to them. It's not just a religious hallucination or some such thing. When these things happen to me, every single time, and not once, otherwise. I was never intoxicated in any shape, way, or form. Possessing my full faculty, my full ability, my full emotional ability, my command, my ability to think and analyze my emotions and my stasis, my status, rather. Being able to do this and have other people undergo the same thing in a perfectly normal state of consciousness, a normal everyday reality, well then, that does speak volumes for itself. Now, terrifying at the beginning, yes indeed, but after a while, if it is continual, a person already had full right and full ability and power to defend themselves and to overcome. What these entities are trying to do is get you to align with their own fear. Be so afraid of them that you'll do something, make a pact, do something to get out of that mode of fear and thus serve that. Essentially serving the fear. They will serve an even greater fear of fear itself. But they're looking to see which human will bow down to them, in essence. That is seeming to be the main gist of it. My experiences culminated in great victories, and I am lying not, Scout's honor on my soul, that these entities are very boring for me. They're not much, they're very childish. They can send their waves of fear, they can do many things. Ultimately, sitting comfortably and firm in yourself in light, you will overcome them. People can certainly pray to their idea of God or a certain prophet or a certain saint or a certain power that gives them the ability. There's nothing wrong with asking on the name of Jesus, for example, or asking Buddha, or asking a holy being to help you. Many of these beings are afraid, very much of course, of those who are not afraid of them. So, upon the mentioning of a name of a holy saint, they will be terrified because they are very terrified of beings of pure and strong light, such as Jesus. You don't have to be a Christian to overcome these beings, however. A lot of people seem to think that there's only one way to go, and if you don't, you're damned forever, which is a ridiculous notion. But the fact is, no matter what your spiritual belief is, and no matter which God you believe in, the fact is, the light and the love themselves are what Jesus or Buddha or whomever follow and are animated of. But we also are completely entitled to this within our very own selves. Otherwise, why agree with them and why even look up to them? We are looking up to the level they're at, the love and the light. But as Christ said himself and as Buddha said himself, you too are it. You become the master. These encounters are not for everybody. These encounters happen to certain people. These encounters happen primarily, from all that I've gathered, to those who are ready to handle it, to those who are mainly ready to overcome. Those who don't overcome and side with it or go insane and go schizophrenic and all sorts of things, these are all very tragic things and very real. But the source root is in the very soul itself. If we're able to overcome it, we are supremely victorious. In fact, to be able to overcome fear gives you the graduation over this planet, because its vibration is still of that. Survival mode, compete, pride, hate, jealousy, etc. Overcoming this modality, we graduate the planet itself, and we don't need this physical existence. Those who are in the spirit world, just use simple terms, it's another dimension, just use simple terms, who are going around attacking people, they are very jealous. When they get a body, when they are allowed to incarnate, and this is for their own purpose of letting go of their fear. Each person has many lifetimes to mature and grow, just like a tree, overgoing like the seasons, winter back to summer, and getting stronger and bigger. The same is for a soul, and these lifetimes are needed. If you don't believe in that, fine. I'm going to say to you that it is certainly true. But whether or not that is even need to be debated or not, the point is, even if those beings get into a body, and there are certainly humans just like them, full of fear, pride, ego, malice and jealousy, competition, they feel the need to put others down. They think that the body is the best thing since sliced bread. They think sex and eating and this and that sensations, sensory gratifications, are the greatest thing in the world. They come from a cold place to come into flesh and blood, they feel a level up. It's very exciting and strong for them. They are very jealous of those who are in the body. Which is a funny contradiction, because then you have those who are in a body who look up to them. So it seems to be a vicious cycle. But letting go of the fear gives the victory. Now when this happens, there are a few reasons. Mostly it is because somebody is sensitive to it in the first place and to begin with. Never mind their belief, their paradigm, their idea. I'm an atheist, I believe in this religion, I'm a spiritual in another way, Your soul itself was just sensitive to it, apart from what your consciousness was focusing on. Ideals, belief systems. But you are naturally sensitive to it. They will mainly come when they see negativity, negative energy. If you're playing a lot of bad music, you have music that is hate, 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 kill, 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 compete, compete, use people, derogatory, blah, blah, blah. The bad rap music, I'm not knocking rap music, but negative rap music, bad heavy metal, whatever the case, I'm just giving common terms. Something negative like this, that is about hate, fear, competition, violence, destruction or self-destruction, both. These things they will gravitate to. If you're doing this, they'll be looking for you perhaps. That's one way. Or depression, bad self-esteem, struggle in the household, bad environment in the school, wherever, in the workplace, and anything negative, you're exposing yourself and you're internalizing your external experiences and you're blaming yourself and feeling low, then that's the prime time that they might like to attack somebody. They will also attack, and in my own case, in a, I don't want to say an identity crisis necessarily, but let's just say an existential crisis of sorts, saying, what is reality? What am I doing here? What is this place? And in my own case, this was the case in which they entered the picture, trying to find reality. What is God? What is truth? What's a lie? What is this place? What is reality? And in this sense, you can be bothered and attacked. Those who are following even with a prime focus of a holy life and spirituality, shamanic path, religious path, you could be a Catholic priest, you could be a preacher, you could be a Muslim imam, you could be an African shaman, whatever. Even deliberately, with deliberation and intention, following a holy path, then they may come and challenge to see how strong you are. Or they may see if they can stop you from becoming strong and holy, so that you will not be effective. You'll doubt yourself and be small. Many, many reasons they may come. Some people deliberately call them. There are some people that think that just because they called them and they had bad experiences, therefore that's what everybody else did. No. I had a Bible-thumping Christian person basically Bible spam one of my videos, because he was very fundamental Christian and he thought his way was the way of it and this and that. And well, I tried to have a nice conversation, but it was getting into be more of an argument debate, which I didn't really wish to have. But the point is, this gentleman figured that because he had undergone this experience, because before he was devoted himself to Christianity, he was on the dark side and had bad experiences, wished to get out of them, and then followed that path to give him victory. Now I've heard, it's not to mock this person, I'm not even going to say his name, but I've heard many stories of people who thought it would be cool to be a hardcore dark gothic or satanist or this and that, or black witch, call it whatever you want, but think negative. I'm not making fun of those who are in the good side of the pagan path, for example. I'm talking about those who are deliberately, consciously negative, looking for black, dark powers and things. Those along this often get a taste of the dark side, what it really is, from the other side, and they will often very quickly regret. I've heard of Satan worshipping biker gangsters, who had real encounters with the demonic, and they quickly repented to Christ or to Buddhism or whatnot. I've heard it happen to young gothic teenagers that they got a taste of what it was like and they begged for mercy and tried to find the light to get out of it. Lots of stories of repent and finding the light. Some don't. Some spiral into the fear, pride, aggression, and all that stuff. The fact is, for whatever reason it happens, people talk about astral travel and projection. A little overrated in my opinion, because you don't really need to go anywhere to be anywhere. The whole universe is inside you. You must remember this as well. Nonetheless, those who talk about astral travel or say, oh, this phenomenon happens when you're astral traveling, That can be part of it. That is not the entirety of it. When we are, people ask me about that, how do you do it, what's your opinion on it, astral projection and such. Well, astral projection is very easy. In fact, every single person does it. When we sleep, we very often, believe it or not, leave our body and go out and have communications with various beings and just each other. This is a simple truth. It takes a level of perception and memory and certain uncoverings and revelations to get to that. But whether or not we need to go into the scrutiny of it, it is still a fact. But when people say astral projection, they're talking about consciously going out while their body is resting, seeing their body and moving around. Yes, there can be some dark entities there. When we are going out and are in a mode of fear and in awe and wonder perhaps, but also not empowered in light, then yes, we can attract these beings. Saying all that for this long video so far, that the fact is, no matter how it happens, when it happens, it could be just a random nightly attack, never happen again, it could be ongoing and reoccurring, it could be over the span of many years, such as it was for me. However the case, please do know that light and love and trust in it and in your own self, your own worthiness of light and love, your own divine right to maturity and holy power and wisdom is for each of us to choose. You have it. No one's to say you can or cannot have it. You take it. You take control of it. When you are aligned and animated of this vibration, this is the new age. When you are aligned and animated of this vibration, being in command and in control of yourself, and being able to be in command of a situation becomes very easy. Being able to fend off attackers and defend yourself, and you have every right to do that, becomes very easy. When they come and see you're not bothered, it's just like a wasp or a dog smelling fear. They get more brave and bold as they sense that you're afraid of them. But when you stand your ground calmly, I'm not saying go and challenge a bear in the woods, for example. Yes, there are unpredictable things, but we're talking about a soul-to-soul attack. Standing up, you will be able to win very easily. That's guaranteed. It's not an option or a debate. Well, it's an option if you don't want to choose it, but if you choose light and love, and you want to go into the holy essence, God's greatest aspect, the best aspect of the isness, choose it, do it, and watch what happens. I do not recommend anyone to try and find out if this is real if you haven't had it happen to you. Do a Ouija board or a seance, or go to a place that is very haunted and see just for curiosity, because that's very childish. Don't do it as a side project just because. But if you want to find reality in the different layers, prepare and defend yourself. We do need to take up a shield and a sword, so to speak, when we are in any situation. It is about self-control, really, and the alignment with patience and tolerance, understanding, and light, and righteousness, to be truly right, in the right, being righteous. And being righteous is not Christian versus Muslim and this versus that. This is all division and the dark side when people are fighting each other. But the understanding, the mercy, the tolerance, the true righteousness is one. Where it agrees, it becomes one holy beacon, one light. And it is of the isness. That's for us to remember. Now, just to close off, this is not to be taken too light. I understand that, and I know it myself. It's not to be taken too seriously either. It can destroy a person, perhaps. Do not let that happen to you if it's happening. They are not as strong as they would like to project themselves to be. Our level of fear, agreeing or not agreeing, that's their power right there. Our level of not agreeing with that fear vibration gives us the victory. That is the power they have. In a physical body, we can be physically hurt and maimed. In very rare occurrences and occasions, a being that is not in a body can push, shove, take off blankets, push someone off a bed. I've heard of terrible extreme cases of people being pushed down the stairs. These are very rare occurrences. when they happen, more often than not, the person was not spiritually strong. Or when it happens at first, we're not prepared, we're not used to it. It takes us by surprise. But we are quickly able to find our power and to overcome. Stand up to them boldly. I'll tell you one quick story that happened maybe a month or so ago, not very long ago from this exact time. July 2013. I woke up from a troubled dream of some kind. Nothing terrifying, just, oh, what's that? I immediately put my hand on my wife, who was sleeping. Maybe it was midnight or 1 in the morning. And I just said immediately, "Are you okay?" And she woke up and said, "Yes." And I saw a tall, dark shadow humanoid, maybe 7 feet tall, in the room. Had a big head and a thin body. It looked like a gray alien. It looked like a disembodied entity. It is said that a lot of these dark entities are the spirits and ghosts of fallen, regressive extraterrestrial entities. In many cases, perhaps that's very true. Either way, whether what dimension the being was in, I saw it. It walked backwards. I said, "I'm not afraid of you." And I stood up and I walked with my chest out right where he should be, and right into him, and he just vanished. The fact is, standing up for ourselves is exactly what we're supposed to do. If we need to fight fire with fire, then certainly do so if that's the necessity. But eventually, sometimes, and I've done it myself before, sometimes just say, "You're gone," with a waving of the hand. "Get out of here, you're boring. I don't need this nonsense. I feel sorry for you. You're in such a pitiful position." Is that the best you can do, really? Come to light and let go of your fear, your hate, and your jealousy. And be whole. That is the key to the word holy. People think H-O-L-Y, holy, but it's actually based on W-H-O-L-E. To be whole, complete, balanced, mature, actualized. If you are interested, I have many videos. If you're interested, I recently wrote a book about this, and it is published with lulu.com. I'm going to leave a description, I'm going to leave a link in the description of the video, and you may be free to check that out. My stories are true, my testimony is true. I seek in my most sincere essence to honor and serve the light and be animated of it, and I wish that for anyone. Peace, happiness, wholeness. It is not to fear the dark side. It is to not fear. It is to not fear challenging yourself. It is to not fear challenging your own fear. An inner analysis. And not to be afraid to say, well, where am I wrong? Where am I right? And as much as we can, purge the fear. Purge the ego, the jealousy, the competition, the hate, the misunderstanding. The more we do this, we graduate all levels of the dark side, to call it that. Negative vibrations of existence. And we'll be very victorious, very content. You can use the word enlightened or finding the kingdom of heaven. We can each call it as we will, but it is very much the case. That's guaranteed. I have dealt with this for a long time. I am very victorious over this phenomenon and related phenomena. And I wish that for anybody. Absolutely anybody. You can do it. If you are someone being bothered, you can overcome it. First, want to, then empower, then do so. You will. Peace and love. Blessed be. Live long and prosper, etc. Catch you on the flip side.